So if we get time today, hopefully the agent linking process won't take too long. It might be 10, 15 minutes. I'll quickly demo the re-engage feature and the new fetch forms feature I've built into Seamlss if we get time. We'll go through to just briefly talk about what agent linking is. So a lot of people are not aware, they're not really prepared for the agent linking process, and that's okay. I seen it coming and I kind of thought, well, we should build this into Seamlss. So that's what we've done. So basically, at the moment, as you're aware in your firm, you jump on the HA portal and you search out the client's TFN, ABN, and then you can add them to your business portal, to your tax agent portal, BAS agent portal. From Monday, it'll be the client's job to actually link any entities to you as an agent. And I think it's really important to understand the difference between us just doing it for them and helping them versus them now having to do it all themselves, especially the non-technically inclined ones. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, oh, if I go and get new clients and things like that, but other things happen from time to time, like if one of the tax agent went out of business or something like that, then the clients have got to go find a new agent. So they'll have to work out how this agent linking. So while some people might think it might affect them, at some point it will affect a lot of people. So BAS agents, I think they're still at risk of being kicked off by the clients not understanding. So I think it's going to be really important to articulate the process to the client to make sure that they're doing it correctly to get the right outcome for themselves effectively. We'll also have a freebie. So we'll send out a freebie after today's webinar, and we'll talk about that at the end. And I think one of the challenges is just going to, like I was talking about, is client driven. So it's all going to be based on how good the client is at creating their accounts on MyGov ID, the business portal, whether they can link it up, how confusing it all is. And I think they're just going to keep contacting us. And that's one of my biggest concerns. And I think, well, that's why I brought Celeste on. I'll let Celeste touch on that, the challenges.
Yeah, sure. So obviously some of you may not actually be face-to-face with the clients in that admin space, but you think back to the director ID when all of your clients had to go and get a director ID, but you know, with a company, we had to be able to talk them through it slowly as to what they needed to do. Obviously, one of the biggest pain points was the MyGov, which we don't really have any control over. But when it came to actually helping them get the director ID, we had it in front of us. We could follow that easy guide in order of what to do, so that you could sort of see what the client could see. And that's where I suppose this has come about, is enabling you guys to see what the clients are going to be seeing when they're in there, so that if you have to, if they're older, some have trouble doing these things, so you can actually talk them through it really slowly and assist them. Very important.
So we'll jump into a live demo now. So if everything just goes to plan, we'll be fine. So I'm logged into Seamlss here, and okay, I will just start adding a new client. Basically, add in the details. Let's add an entity for today's purposes. I won't request any information. I will request the client's data on a form, and we'll get them to sign an engagement letter. So that will add the client and send off a request. Nope, because the client already exists. Being a good demo here today, Celeste. We're going to delete the client now.
Obviously, thanks to everyone's patience.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
And things go as planned. More than one thing.
Well, I was stressing out a bit when the webinar wasn't working, because it normally just works for us. We use it all the time at Business Edge Advisors. Add the form. I won't add tax return forms or engagement letter. Add the client. At least you can see that when you add a client and they're already an existing client, it won't let you add them, because Seamlss is obviously working in that sense that While that's coming through, I will show some of the Seamlss features. So basically what we've created is a bunch of templates and processes for you. So when you onboard a client, you'll be able to send them an agent linking reminder email that will outline the basic steps, and it also includes a link to our custom page for onboarding. You'll also be able to adjust the onboarding completed message. So if they're an individual, they'll just see the onboarding message. If they had an entity added to their onboarding experience, they'll also see the new agent linking requirement message below on the dashboard as well. And I'll show you that once I onboard the client. So the agent linking instructions, you can obviously edit all this. So you can type in whatever you want onto these message points, and that's what the client will see. So the whole point of why we did it in Seamlss was so that you could customize your message and still be on your branding and your tone. So while we've included all this process for you, and I think it's a great starting point, it's only going to get better based on the feedback. We get lots of feedback from different firms all the time, but the key is that this will outline it and display it to you, to your clients, with your firm's details. So as you can see, it's got a basic quick steps overview for the client. It tells them my tax agent name and my tax agent number, and you'll be able to click on the guide here. So this is the guide that we've created for the clients to click on. So it's fairly straightforward. Why does the agent linking? So this is an ATO requirement. It's not a new thing from us that we're imposing. It's the ATO change. So I think based on like what Celeste said around the MyGov ID setup, because a lot of people had to get a MyGov ID with all their new companies, I think a lot of clients already have MyGov ID. So it was important for us to say, if they've already got one, it'll just skip that whole step. So if they don't have it though, it will outline it and have it on, and they'll be able to click and get started on their MyGov ID. So it's going to take them through step by step. Once they've done it and they've got it and they've got the strength correct, they can click on and go to the next step. And then that'll be outlining to connect up their ABNs. And you can see that because I'm logged in as a user, it's actually listing my entities for me that I have to link up to my agent. It goes through with some images for the client to view and see what it'll look like for them on their screen, which will be much the same when they link to their agent RAM. Once that's done, it'll be the nominating to the client agent link. So again, easy to follow. The client will be able to just click on the links and get started and log in and then link to their agent. We have listed what they are here. This is pulling from Seamlss to display to the client. So it's all live. It's all dependent on what you've put into Seamlss, and it'll all be flow through. Now, this is one of the tricky things that we got to the problem of agent linking, which will be interesting next week. When we were trying to create this guide, we tried to link our own entities back to my firm, and we couldn't kick ourselves off. So we removed ourselves as clients from Business Edge Advisors, but we couldn't link ourselves back to Business Edge Advisors. So I don't know whether that's because it's not Monday yet, but obviously this will get filled out more with some more pictures and some more processes. It's just that we literally couldn't add ourselves and follow the own process that the ATO has given us. So bear with us, this will get better, but it's still there for the clients right now. It still goes through the process step by step, tells them the numbers they should be showing, and worst case scenario, they'll email us. So that's the agent linking custom form for your firm. So it's branded with your firm, but it's all live, pulling data from Seamlss. So if the client's logged in, then it'll show all of the information from the settings. So in the settings area in Seamlss, you'll have the agent linking turned on, and you'll decide what sort of agent you are, put in your number, put in your name, as it'll be displayed on the ATO portal, and that's what they'll be searching for. So make sure that those things are filled in, because those are the details that it's pulling through onto this screen and into the email that the client will get. So if you've onboarded the client, hopefully my emails come through now, so I'll give you a quick demo of that. This one. Here it is. So here's my welcome email. Thank you for coming. So it's got a brief message. It's a big old button to get started. Get the code. 99. So there is no password for clients. It's all 2FA based off email and phone number. So it makes it really easy for the clients to log in and get started. I'm just going to put in some data here as quickly as I can.
So this is you adding in all their like if you were the client, this is what you'd be filling into Seamlss. So yes. You can obviously as a firm, you're collecting all this information and no one had to do any keying except the client.
And this actually looks up PSBs and tells you whether it's valid or not, which is fantastic. It validates TFNs as well. Yeah, my number's not available because I've already in use. So it validates all the TFNs and ABNs and things like that. So in this case, we can look up different company from ABR lookup. So the client will be able to get the right name or entity and select it via ABR lookup. So you know you're going to get the right names, entities, ABNs, ACNs, all that sort of thing. I'm just going to put through the required information. It's not going to be 100%. And you can also mark it as non-trading. And that's like a key part where if you're not trading entity, it might be a trustee company. Hopefully I'm going fast enough for everyone. Give you the idea. But this is the end of tax questionnaire. So as a part of the onboarding process, you might want to say, send me last year's tax returns, things like that. So you can now add custom forms to the Seamlss onboarding process. You could ask who the previous accountant was. This is a custom form, so you can customize it for your own firm to make that process easy for you. This is the engagement letter that I've got in the system, and I'm going to sign myself and complete it. And so the client's gone through the whole process, keyed in all the data. It's all been validated and confirmed. They've signed the engagement letter, and then this is where it's going to show the client at the end of the process that they have completed the process, and now they've got to do the agent linking. It's thinking, there it is. So now they've completed, and you can customize this message to say whatever you want. And as I said, if they've added an entity like I just did, it will also show the new agent linking requirement. And now I can click in and get started. So again, you've seen that before with the one that I showed you, which was my test entity. So in Luca's case, it's going to show different information. So let's go.
Yeah, just slow down maybe a little bit, Clayton.
Oh, sorry. Yes, one of those fun things there. So it's saying the entity that we're going to link up is the cookie corporation that I just keyed in. So it's pulling live data for the client to follow the process. And we've tried to do that to make it as seamless as possible for the client so that they can get it done with the correct information. And that's the whole point of Seamlss, is to make it easy for you and the clients. That is that process done. And the client can always log back into their own area and download their engagement letter as well. One important thing that people wanted. That is that bit there. That is that part of the demo. I wanted to show this bit. So now let's say that Luca has onboarded, but been a bit slack. We can also go into the entities area and click on the update entities link and confirm whether it is or isn't linked. But you can also send an email reminder. So that'll send out an email reminder to Luca so that he can get started. And there'll be a similar email to what you just seen before. That is on this screen, back in here. So it'll list out, please get started with your agent linking, and we'll show you that information that is listed here in your comms. So you can edit that to suit yourself. Is there any, that's that bit there. That's pretty much all of the bits that I wanted to show around the agent linking, Celeste.
Is there one area, if you go to the dashboard on Seamlss for us, Clayton? Because, there's no real alert to say, hey, Joe Bloggs, the client, just linked us to his ATO file.
No.
So maybe, yeah.
So
there is.
In the client agent linking process, let us know when you're done. So when they're done, hopefully the client will email and say, hey, I'm linked up. Then you'll be able to pull a report from the ATO portal to say who has requested to be linked to your firm, and you can accept them. So that's the end of the process. So the beginning, the client's got to do the work, and then the firm has to jump on and accept the link. Does that answer the process part?
Yep.
I think that was all of my agent linking parts. So I just wanted to touch on the benefits of Seamlss. So it's about creating that simple guide, making sure it's more hands-off for firms so that you can not have to do all the work. And I think it's key touch on that point that you said earlier, Celeste, around we want to be able to talk to the form and talk to that guide for the client. So when your client rings and you're talking them through the process, you can be looking at the same guide that they are looking through and talking them through that same point. This area, this guide has been created by us, and it's not editable, but if you've got feedback or suggestions, by all means, send it through to us. And the other beautiful thing with everyone that's on the webinar today, really thank you for joining us, because one of the key things that we're going to do is this will be a PDF, and we will send it out to you all so that you can utilize the PDF in your own firm. So if you're not using Seamlss, that's fine. You can still use the PDF. It will go through this process a little bit easier than what's on the ATO portal, because if you're not on the ATO website, if you've read through it, it is quite cumbersome and it's not as streamlined. Hopefully there'll be some videos and things like that to come as well quite soon. If anyone uses Seamlss already, you're already fully aware that when you send through feedback and we can implement it, we will implement it. So by all means, send through that feedback. So that's kind of all of the benefits of Seamlss. Making sure the data's correct, making sure it's quick, it's efficient, the clients are driving it all, making sure it's a good onboarding experience from start to finish so they're not jumping between different apps. So with Seamlss, you'll be able to collect all their client details. You'll be able to collect all of the documents as well if you want, and you get assigned again. That's it for now. Is there any questions, Celeste?
I haven't seen any. Sorry, I didn't. I'll have a quick look.
You might have to look in the Q&A. We will send out the webinar recording as well. And if there is any questions or anything like that that we can answer, we'll also try and put them in the email.
So Sue just said, Clayton, that bank account details aren't syncing.
Ah, yes, I could show that. Back in here. So with Seamlss, we push everything that we can into Xero Practice Manager. So if I just sign into XPM, so as you can see, is if Clayton Wood had just onboarded, we've got all these details. We've got all of his address details and we've got his bank details. Unfortunately, the Xero Practice Manager API does not have anything for bank details. We have asked them several times to add that to the API. I hope that they do add it very soon. It's just a matter of when will be the key. So if you're in Seamlss right now, you can see their entities, you can see all the forms, you can see all the documents, you can see the identity verifications, and you can push it to XPM. So that's the whole point. If you're using Xero Practice Manager, you can push the data to XPM. If you're using other apps like Mild, AO, and AE and things like that, there's no way to import data. We do have an export function, so you can export the data as a CSV as well, but that is all the data that we'll export in CSV. We are building out further CSV export options. So as you can see, you're pushing all of the data you can into XPM. So it'll update and you can either push or pull the data based on what it is you want to happen. And if you sync that data, it takes a second because it's just looked up Xero Practice Manager and then it's automatically displayed. So there's no API for bank account details and there's no API for client verification. So until the XPM Xero updates that, we can't do anything. The beauty of the review and sync, Celeste, is also that it'll actually search and match on addresses and names and things like that. So you can keep it as your single source of truth and you can add entities at will, or you can update and merge if you think they're a match. So the key with Seamlss is that it's allowing you to check that data to ensure Xero Practice Manager is your single source of truth. Is there any other questions?
No, not at this stage, not in the chat.
Would some people like to see the re-engage function in action then? So with re-engage, my suggestion to firms is that you re-engage your clients every year. But if you're using things like Practice Ignition, you might be doing all the engagements in June. That's a pretty common thing. So run all your engagements and collect all the money in June. You can use Seamlss to do the re-engage function at any other time of the year. So if they've signed the engagement letter in June, and then you can get them to do a re-engage and confirm their details in February when they drop their work off. So you can send them out a request. Clayton will confirm all his companies and information is correct. What you can also do now is request the documents. So you could add multiple forms to the request. So if they're primary producers, you could add that. If they are sole traders, you could add that form. So whatever form it is you want them to fill out to collect the data throughout that process. So if you're going to say, oh, Celeste, I'm going to call your job in, I'm going to send it out to Celeste, I'm going to collect her information and get her to sign the engagement letter, all in the one process. So I've just sent that request off. I will now log in as a client into the client area. And here's my engage request. So normally that client would have got that link, they would have logged in, gone straight in and started confirming their details are correct. So I think that should, have the details changed? No. So it will just go through the process of confirming the details of all of the client's information. They can update them. So they'll update their addresses and bank details if they've changed. So the idea of the re-engage function is that you can confirm the client's details are correct at the beginning of the job. So if the job's information is collected and confirmed, that means when you finish the job and send it out, it's got the right address, bank details, things like that on the front of the return. So here's my custom question. So it's asking for financial information for the end of financial year. So they'll be able to upload some bank statements, maybe the tax return, rental property information. I've just put this in as an example, but you can customize these forms to suit yourself. And again, they can sign the engagement letter. You can skip the engagement letter signing. So a lot of people use Ignition and they won't sign the engagement letter. Personally, I know that when we use Ignition, sometimes we forget to add the trustee company or something like that we're still engaged with. We won't probably do any work with, but it's still on there. You'll also see that with the re-engage function, maybe they added a new entity or they booted you off or something like that. So you can use the re-engage function to re-engage them, sign the engagement letter, and then follow the new HO requirements again. So that you can, if they haven't connected you, they can connect you, follow the same guide. Does that all make sense, Celeste? Did I go too fast again?
Always go too fast, but if you rewatch a webinar, you watch it on 2x anyway, so I'm sure it's fine. A couple of questions though I've got. One from Leisha. Does the agent linking negate the need to do ID, to do the ID checks for the client, or do you still need to do the ID?
You still need to do that. I think that in time that's their goal, is to remove it so it's all fully agent linked. Being that people can just log into MyGov and kick you out seems a bit odd. So I'm not sure how that process will be, but you still need to verify their identity as an individual, because they don't link. You don't agent link an individual, you agent link the entities.
Yeah.
I do think that adds a fair bit more trustworthiness though, because if you've sent off a request to Celeste sent through the ID, and then she's going to connect up her entity, well, it's going to be fairly obvious that it's a verified person, because who else would have access to their own entities?
Yep. Sorry.
No, there's still lots of scammers out there, so you still never know. Yep. That's why the whole verification process is in there, to make sure that that doesn't get through.
Yeah. Just another question from Aria. Director ID and gender also don't sync into XPM. Is that the same problem?
Same problem. API. It's based on the Xero's API. I will check with Daniel about gender, but I'm assuming it's the same problem. It's the API on Xero's Limited. We do have some future plans with some further API use around relationships and groups. That's the next thing to build out.
And I also notice, if this helps you out at all, Aria, for your admin staff, is that there's that copy icon that's there, so they don't have to copy and paste it or write it down and then key it in. They just hit the copy, so that they can just have it on two screens, and then they're just automatically putting it in without any keying problems.
Because copies, buttons, yeah.
And
the funny
really
thing is, Celeste, someone asked, they said, oh, there's no copy button for this. And we just overlooked it, so we added it. And that's the whole thing, is feedback drives it. If you want something, let us know.
I've got another question too. If a client changes their details, where does the notification go? So in that re-engagement, when you're just getting them to recheck their details, is the firm then getting a notification so that they can obviously push it to XPM?
Believe it'll come through here to actions. And I'm not aware of anything specific that highlights the changes. I think that's a good feedback item for Daniel to see if he can
really good
highlight that.
Yep.
But obviously, when you push it to XPM, if the firm is pushing to XPM, you will be able to review and sync, and you will see those changes. So what it's doing right now is it's looking up Xero Practice Manager to see, index all of the clients and see who's there, and then you'll see that it's pushing or pulling that data to match.
Yeah, great.
So all these data points need to be pushed to be updated. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then again, single source of truth. Any other questions?
No, that's it. And we've done our 30 minutes.
Yes.
Thanks.
Apologies
so much.
profusely for the delay. These things happen. We will publish the PDF and get that out to everyone over the weekend so that you all have a copy of the webinar, and you'll have a copy of that PDF for you using your own firm. So hopefully you got some value out of it today. Hopefully you've got a bit of a process now. So even if you're not using Seamlss, I feel like you could maybe smush together an email process. And yeah, you'll just have to make sure that someone's always following it up. And I think that was the idea with Seamlss, is to make sure that you're ticking that box in the entities area to mark them off as linked. So if they're all linked, then the admin team can follow along. In here, I'll refresh that page. It'll mark off the entities as they're all linked entities. Does that make sense, Celeste? So you can track who's linked and not linked.
Who's linked and who's not. Yeah.
And you can send a reminder for the ones that aren't.
Yeah. And I think it's just something you're going to have to manage internally to see, like in your own firm, design a process around it and until, you're pretty confident. I do have another question about the agent linking working for deceased estates.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that is.
I have to ask the ATO on that one. I don't have an answer. That's definitely a good one for the ATO. I'd probably post that into the Facebook group and see what other people have said, because I think it's hard enough to get a deceased estate on your portal as it is. So imagine trying to go through that process.
Oh, yeah.
But again, that's why if you can create those guides and make it really easy for the client, because hopefully someone that's managing the estate has a MyGov ID.
Maybe.
In time. Excellent. All right, we'll wrap that up. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm going to jump off and say goodbye and go and jump on the Clarity Street webinar.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.